Good evening, all, and welcome to another Crossroads. Earlier, we had Warren. We were talking about children because that's what is into, talking about people with bad temper and everything. And now, I could never get your name properly. Now, what is your name? Um,
It's
what
abshiad.
can I call you? Right.
Call me, call me abs if you like.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll call you Abs. All right. Okay. So, Abs, tell everybody a bit about yourself and
Okay.
what you do, you know, so that everybody has a clear thing, that, what you know and what you want to talk about.
Okay. So as I've said, my name's Abshad and I'm a holistic coach. So what that is a life coach. So helping people to get live their dream life, achieve their goals, whatever they wish, helping them get to that desired stage. But I also use holistic tools. So that means I use Reiki, use chakra energy work, and so use other mechanisms on top of NLP, emotional intelligence, the normal. So that is my side job. But during the day, I am actually a civil servant as well.
All right. Okay. Good. Good. So with um, your job, what you do, um, your part-time job and everything, what's it? Why did you kind of like start? Why? Was that topic? Why did you go for that topic?
The coaching itself.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened with me really, my journey started from my, like most coaches, it starts from your own trauma or healing phase. So my father passed away and, I actually fell into depression. So for me, the doctors tried to prescribe antidepressants, which I refused to take. Then I had counseling, but it didn't really help me. So we were looking at just treating the symptoms, not really going to the root causes. So I took the drastic step of just actually leaving the UK and moved abroad. And what I did do though was, I just, like most people, I just pushed the emotions down because I had a young family. I had to think about them. My husband and I, and the two children, left the UK. And my focus was to get them through the teenage stages. And my son was just coming to high school, so getting through GCSEs while my daughter was doing her A levels. So it was never really about me. It was to make sure they were okay. And I thought I was doing okay. And then what happened was, I eventually these emotions came out. As much as I was pushing them in, they came out, and I was a mess. I came back to the UK, and it was time really to deal with these emotions, heal myself, because I was no good to anybody else. And I had been suffering with these, or internally for what, nearly 7 8 years. And in accumulation, it took me nearly 10 years to actually manage my emotions again. So this is why I came into this field, because I knew I wasn't the only person. One thing you have, all humans have in common, is we all suffer pain regardless of what gender we are, what color, where we are placed in the in the country or the world.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't matter what gender, color, whatever. At the
Mm,
end of the day, we all we we're all the same, and we all kind of like got feelings, don't we? Every one of us,
that's
you
correct. That's
know.
what makes us, that's what makes us connected with each other. And what I found was that it doesn't make a difference. People normally think women are better at talking about their emotions, but for me that wasn't the case, and I'm sure for a lot of women it isn't the case. It's embarrassing. We're there, especially if we've got young family, to focus on our children, look after them, put them first. But I found in my own journey that that shouldn't be the case. We need to really look after ourselves first before we can help others. Otherwise, we're actually bleeding on top of on others.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Because I said this to my friend the other day from the church that I belong to, and I said to him,
Mm,
before we go out there and do anything else, we need to get ourselves right. We need to
mm.
make ourselves better. It's no good kind of like going on like a podcast or something like that if we're not right. Because at the end of the day, if people see that we're not right, you know, it's not going to be believable, is it? You know what I mean? We can,
Mm.
yeah,
And that's what's really important, is that connection with people. When you're authentic and vulnerable and say, I went through this, it's okay. And unfortunately, you have to get to the end of the journey. While you're in that middle and that mess, it's hard to offer anybody else support, because you're actually, it's like, what they say in the airplane, they always ask you to put your mask first, because you have to look after yourself.
mm,
With all the best intentions of the world, you may be trying to help somebody else, but you can, or maybe unintentionally, make it worse for them, because you could be
yeah,
triggering somebody else's points without realizing.
yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? It's kind of
Mm.
like, life is really hard as it is, but I think we need to kind of like go through the pain barrier. When we've got a trauma in our life, sometimes we need to talk about what's happened, then start healing, and go through that pain barrier before we could do anything else.
Absolutely. I think, we just really need to have those conversations. Even, this week I was talking to some youngsters, and, they were saying they come from this Instagram or social media life. That's the generation they grew up in. And for them, they're saying everything seems to be picture perfect. They have this pressure to conform, because on TV, on Instagram, on Reels, etc., the relationships are perfect. Everything seems to be perfect. I know. I think maybe we're fortunate, or maybe there's a lack. We've just been so self-focused, and everybody's trying to put the best image out there of themselves, and no one wants to be ridiculed for their pain. So maybe we're not really sharing or having those conversations that really matter.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I think you're totally right. I think what you're saying, you got it bang on. We can. I was watching some videos the other day on Facebook of people, and I was thinking, gosh, instead of talking fake stuff, why don't you just
Mm.
start talking about yourself, what's happened, how you got to this point, just to tell, just be yourself for God's sake. You know what I mean?
Mm. No, absolutely. And I think, sometimes, even as parents, my son sometimes points it out, and he rightly so. I may pick on something, say, oh, you haven't done this or done that. And he'll turn around, and sometimes he'll say, what about the 99 things I've done right? And it takes me back. And I think, we're all responsible sometimes. We all get so occupied in this fast life that we live in, this hamster wheel.
Mm.
We just notice things that haven't been going so well, and we forget of all about all the other things that are going magnificently, we should really be grateful for. So, it's not just the youngsters. I think us, the oldies, need to be mindful of that as well. We need to maybe pause before we open our mouths as well.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. It's like I was talking to somebody the other day as well about, you know, the about technology, and I said to them, when I was younger, we didn't even have Facebook,
Mm.
you
We
know,
have
you
phone.
know, or a phone, was it, or a mobile? I remember when the first mobile came out. I was born in 1969.
Okay.
Uh, so and I remember my first phone was a flip phone, little small
Mm.
phone, and it flipped and things like that. But then you got the brick ones. You had the great big brick ones, and then everything else started coming out. Then. But the trouble is, though, things change, and now the youngsters, they got everything, didn't they? They got computers, they got everything. What we didn't even have. You know what I mean?
I sometimes question that. Have they really got everything? This is a question I've been, pondering myself as well. We talk about mental well-being, which is really, really good. Mental health, emotional well-being, and emotional issues. During when I was younger, those issues were never talked about or discussed, very, hushed. And it's a sad thing to say, but in those days, people that had mental health issues were seen as weak. They needed help, maybe psychiatric help, or medication. And it wasn't normal, it wasn't seen as normal, but now people are definitely are talking about mental well-being, which is a really good thing, because conversation is so important. Men, women, children, youngsters, everyone should be normalizing this conversation.
Mm,
Because as a
yeah,
woman, I don't necessarily understand what a man goes through, and obviously men don't necessarily understand what women go through until we start have those conversations. And it doesn't make a difference what
yeah,
age group we are or bracket, because each age has its own challenges. A small child, we might think they're doing really well, but for a small child, their mental well-being might be impacted because they don't get to see their parents enough. They don't get those hugs
yeah,
that maybe which we took for granted as a child, because now parents, obviously, we're living in a society where costs are spiraling. We all know costs are spiraling out of control, and in most cases most parents have to work. And
yeah,
what does that
yeah,
mean for that child? Do they feel a lack? How does it impact them? How do they, because obviously at that time they're a small seed, and as they go through life they're growing. How does that impact them through their life? What does it mean as they get older, become older, adults, become parents, or we hope good citizens in society? What does it mean for those people?
yeah, yeah. Well, when you see your husband or your boyfriend or whatever, you ask him what men's got to go through. You know,
uh,
we don't. You got it more than us. You know, I want like to go through the problems that women's
mm.
got to have. You know, I won't do that. So I say I'm putting my hands up, and I'm lucky. So you can have all the problems you want. I'm okay, thank you. You know what I mean? So
I
I
think
want
men I think men have their own challenges. We laugh aside. Women have, a lot of hormonal or other issues as well. But men have their own issues, and I always find it a shame that men haven't been given the tools or the ability. And it's a lot easier, in the younger generation, I believe, than the older generation. We grew up with those words, stiff upper lip, boys don't cry, and men had to bottle down their emotions. They weren't allowed to say how they felt, but they had relationship issues. It was like, who's wearing the trousers in the house? So those sort of things were
yeah,
quite common. They had to be the breadwinners. They had to take charge of the financial, issues, the money. They were the breadwinners, and there's a lot of pressure on a man to deliver on every aspect. Make sure he delivers financially, emotionally, keeps a roof over head. He leads, etc. And then he's on the other side. Who's actually looking after him? Where does he go to speak about
yeah,
him mentally not being strong enough, or having some pain in his heart, his mind, his emotions are all over the place? I'm sure that must be a thing for men as well.
with with your with your kind of um, I want to kind of like ask you a few questions actually.
Hmm.
With your you, do you when you kind of like met your partner, was it a arranged relationship?
It was a mixture, really. We did get to speak to each other, though we knew each other, but it was arranged. So the family arranged the money. They spent the money.
Right. Okay. So it was arranged. So, what happens if a couple, I was talking to somebody the other day about arranged marriages and stuff,
Hmm.
and I find it really intriguing. I hope you don't mind, but what happens if we don't like each other?
You have the option of saying no. So if you're not compatible, it's a bit like you have now. Is it Tinder? Tinder? No, the dating apps. So what
I
norm?
don't know about that.
I don't know either. So similar to the dating apps, but what we normally have is either family, relatives, friends, or somebody will know that somebody is interested in looking for a partner. So the vetting process normally happens. So this person is normally vetted. So they'll come with recommendations. The background search will be done already. So you're assured that this person is this person that's been brought forward has had, I don't want to say security checks, but it's had a background check. Everything seems to be sound, and then you're given the opportunity to chat with somebody, and if you can see a future with them, or if you can't, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I just find it, I just find it intriguing. as a Christian, I think it's kind of like really intriguing. And but I know someone who kind of like got married in the same situation as yours, and you know, I just and they said, well, after a while, I didn't like my husband in Warsaw, and but she had to stay in that relationship because of the family and everything.
I think that happens in all, it doesn't need to be an arranged marriage. It can happen in love marriage as well. So, most women tend to stay in relationships because they don't want their children to, to grow up without a father. So I think that's
Yeah,
more, there can be some cultural pressures as well. I'm not dismissing those whatsoever. There are some cultural pressures as well. But in most relationships, a woman will try her best to keep a family unit together. When things, she gets to see or gets to a stage where she thinks it's just unbearable, that's, when they take that decision. And it's never a simple decision.
yeah, yeah. I've got somebody on here, if I hope
Hmm.
you don't mind. Simon, and he's saying, "Hi, Steve. When you were talking about arranged marriages, my friend of mine um, had a arranged marriage in Birmingham a couple of weeks back, and they don't usually they don't what they don't date. Did you date?
So it's a different concept. So most different families have different concepts. Some are more lenient than others. Some people will be chaperone. If you go back to how the English was maybe a century or so ago, you would have a chaperone or friend or do a family gathering. So there is interaction. Some people chat on the phone. Some people come over for dinner. So you it's not the official dating like you will maybe think in the English sense. Some people will do, some people won't. But it really depends on the family background you come from.
Yeah, 'cause if I was doing that, I would say, let's go out on a date somewhere, and not have a chaperone or whatever. At the end of the day, surely it's up to the couple, how they get on and everything.
Yeah, the couple definitely get the space. They get the space to have that discussion, talk, because that's they're the ones that be living together. Have they need to determine if they can see a future, if they have anything in common. So there is leeway. There is they do get their space to have that discussion, and just to have banter and get to know each other.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Brilliant. What happens if like an Englishman comes up and says I want to marry your daughter, and they're like come from the same culture as you?
Because I'm a Muslim, so there are certain restrictions. So it really depends which culture or religious background you come from. With Islam itself, because I know I'm a Muslim, there are certain I'm not permitted to marry a non-Muslim. So for that,
Ah,
he will need to decide. We call it revert, come back to Islam, because we believe that as a Muslim you're born a Muslim. So he'll need to make that decision. Does he want to become a Muslim?
right. Okay.
Because you have to think, when you're in that household, they know it's going forward. If, if you have children and you're in that household, you don't want to have those discussions then, which path is this child going on.
Yeah. 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 You're right. Okay. Right. Okay. I'm going to move on, but talk about
Hmm.
business. Sorry about that. People just kept on bothering me, asking me. So, when clients come to you,
Hmm.
what kind of things can you offer them? Tell me a bit about your business and how it works, and when somebody comes to you the first time.
So when somebody comes to me, so firstly I have, I call it a discovery call. So it's like basically a connection call. So it'd be normally up to 30 minutes. So what will they will do? They'll connect with me, and I'll ask them, why do you wish to work with me? That's the first question. What do you think I can help you with? What is it that you wish to work on? So ask them the question, because I want them to be clear. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I want them to be clear or have an idea that they have an issue or a challenge, because before you can actually heal or move forward, you need to know there's a challenge, a problem, an issue. And then I will, we'll talk and see whether we actually connect. If we connect, that's fine. If we don't, I'll be very honest and say, no, maybe I'm not the right fit. If I know somebody in the business, I'll refer them to that person or give them some idea who they need to actually connect with to signpost them to the direction they need to go. If we can connect, or we do get on, then it's very much I focus on results orientated goal. So it's this is how many weeks we're going to go. Be realistic with them. This is what you will actually achieve. So the people I normally work can be corporate goal orientated, career progression. It can be relationships. It can be trauma, self acceptance. It can be emotional. They've got emotional issues, emotional healing that need to go through. It can be mental, health issues. It can be, it's not just a relationship with themselves or their partner, but it can also be relationship issues with the parents. So there's a mix of things that I can work with, and also going back
Mm.
healing. So I do my chakra and energy work. It's also going back and healing their past as well, because like with like we're adults now. Were born and we grew up from childhood, and through that childhood, we all carry baggages. We carry trauma, unhealed trauma, scars. And some of those things, words or beliefs, they can impact us and our relationships and our career progression through life. So we end up limiting and self sabotaging ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. That's really good. What you're doing, really good.
Mm.
And and when clients come to you, do you do it in packages? Do you have certain packages and the cost and everything?
So when it comes to holistic coaching, they'll always come as packages, because I believe it's unfair. I can't offer somebody a result in one day, in 1 hour, because if it's an emotional issue somebody's dealing with, I have to take it piece by piece. It's a bit like an onion. That's the best way I can describe the layers. Because if we take too many layers off too quickly, that can overwhelm and unstabilize that person. They can actually become emotionally unstable because there's a lot of pain they're actually going through. The healing process isn't simple. We all want to move to the other side and we want to heal quickly, but there's a reason why you need to be working with somebody. So the textbooks, the videos, the personal development books, YouTube, etc., brilliant. But what it does, it doesn't cater for you. They provide you an insight of what can happen. So when you hear about people's transformation journey, they talk about before, the pain, and the after. But when you're actually living through that pain, it can be really painful. That healing journey, I'm
Oh
very
yeah.
honest with people, it can be very traumatic, and you do most of the time you do need somebody to hold your hand and say it's okay, we can get through this one bit, one step or one bit at a time. So this is why I would say to people, whether it's 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, this is the only result you'll get. And I will recommend this is the package I think you should be going for. But I will never force anybody, because with like any new relationship, like when you have a new friendship, so coaching is similar to that. You won't tell everybody everything in the first session. Over time, you start trusting that person. You start giving more information, and what you may realize is you may actually have gone in with what you thought was a problem, but it wasn't that problem. For example, you might have thought, oh, I'm having relationship problems. I keep losing my partner after so long. Something just doesn't seem to be working. Every relationship, this is the issue. So you're thinking it's the relationship issue and it's the other partner, but it could be it's not the relationship issue. When you go back in time, that relationship issue actually started with you as a child and with your parents or a parent, and you've actually
Mm,
taken that belief or that pain forward, and it's impacting your future relationships.
mm.
So, but it takes time to find that out, because most people won't realize it actually goes back to their childhood. They'll think, no, it's this partner, they've done this to me and they've left me, and this is why I'm in pain.
You you certainly know your stuff. Um, Marie, Steve, do you have Abs's what email address? We will put it up. Yeah, I will. If we can have your email address, because we got some people
Oh,
who kind
brilliant.
of like want to contact you.
Mhm.
And yes, we will put it all up on our website and everything. And also we'll have it up in a minute. And we also will put it on our radio channel too. So don't worry about that. Just a couple of questions before we go. Is that all right?
Yeah, I want them to tap in case you need to do. I think you've got my email address, but I'll just put it in here as well.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
Very kind. Thank you. Here you go. I'll put it on the screen, guys, here, and then you can be able to contact her. Dee, dee, dee. So, when clients come to you as well, sometimes clients can't pay the money out. Do you do like any payment plans and stuff like that?
So what we do at the moment, we don't have a payment plan. It's, I've been very fortunate. Clients, are willing to pay up front. But I'm happy to, I do work with a clinic called Perfection Aesthetics, and I'll give you the website address as well. And come to us, speak to us, and then we'll see what we can actually offer you.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant, very good, very good. And guys, I think I won't say it if I don't believe it, but I think if you kind of like go to contact apps, I think she will kind of like send you on the right path, and she will help you out, and that's really good.
No,
Thank you so
thank you.
much. Thanks,
Okay.
Abs, and
No,
thank you for so
thank
much.
you. Can I just a leaving comment really, and it's just to all your viewers out there. Please, no, I'm not saying reach out to me, but whoever you wish to reach out, please never suffer in silence. Please speak, reach out to people and get the support you need. Or if you know anybody needs support, reach out to anybody that can help them. Never suffer in silence. I've talked about my 10-year history. I wouldn't wish that on anybody because I lost 10 years. It's not just my life, also my children's and my family and friends. So I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Please do reach out. And if anybody reaches out to you, please be kind and sympathetic to people because we don't always really know what's going on behind the mask.
That's it. That's what we say to people too.
Mm.
This is we do this for, and is to help people out. And our thing is, I don't know if you see our website, but we're doing Be Kind. We've got a massive, great Be Kind page, and we're doing quite well with that. So,
Oh, brilliant. Thank
anyway,
you.
thank you so much, and thank you for your time. I know you might be busy, but anyway,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.